50 Shades of Cray Cray. Sometimes a meme sums up a moment in pop culture better than what I ever will be able to. And that is absolutely the right summation of this completely bonkers, completely misleading, completely self-serving interview between the fake Duchess, Meghan Markle, and a woman called Jamie Kern Lima. I don't recommend that you watch the full 90 minutes, folks, because this really did things to my brain. It melted my brain. It exploded my brain. But don't worry, as ever, we've done the public service. And today, Royal Mastermind Angela Levin and Meghan's sister, Samantha Markle, join me to provide the truth about her at times quite vile spin, which includes, no surprises, attacks on the royal family and attacks on the Markle family. But let's kick off with, I think, a summation of just how bad it is that Meghan continues to choose to be interviewed by her BFFs. Because the first question, without a hint of any irony, is a repeat of Tom Bradby in South Africa. Watch.
People also have this question for you is, Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind. I am. I'm better than okay. How are you?
I know you always make it about me. Today, which by the way, I just have to say, you are the most generous friend. You show up for your friends. Today, I just get to talk about you, which I'm excited about. But how are you doing? There's so much going on.
I'm good. There's it's a lot of pinch me moments right now.
Oh, pinch me. Pinch me. Actually, when I'm sitting through that, Angela Levin, I think you need to slap me because, good God, this is actually, I think, the worst example I've ever seen of two narcissists creating a completely false environment to peddle and spread their lies.
Well, I don't know Jamie Kern, but I mean, I think that it's the worst thing I've ever seen Meghan do. And I also think that the fact that she's not wearing any makeup is deliberate because she wants to, in this occasion, be the poor one who works so hard and has to get up at 6:30 to do clean her teeth and get her clothes on. Oh, because it's so busy in the morning. I mean, that's what we all do, isn't it? I mean, what's so heroic about that? And I just think that not wearing lipstick makes her look as she's working incredibly hard and she's got too much to do and people don't recognize how amazing she is. That's the image she's given me.
And there was another reason, though, wasn't there, Sam, for the lack of makeup? Because what was it? One tear, left eye, go. Your sister is an expert in making herself cry on demand.
All right, let's start with the big red flag. Jamie Kern Lima, Meghan's bestie and podcast host, asks if she'll be married to Harry forever. Meghan says yes, but her voice jumps an octave. That's not love. That's nerves. That's performance. Even Angela Levin picks up on it. Body language doesn't lie, and Meghan's answer screams discomfort. She's forcing it. And when someone's faking it that hard, you've got to ask, what is she covering up? Because when your fairy tale is real, you don't need to stage it. And this whole thing is staged from top to bottom.
Exactly. And did you catch this? What really stuck out for me now was hearing, her suck up BFF interviewers, ask her if she was okay, which takes us back to the African poverty thing for the documentary she was doing. And she said verbatim, I'm glad that someone asked me if I was okay, or nobody ever asked me if I was okay. So this felt very scripted. It's like, did she need to tap back into this and say, Now make sure you ask me if I'm okay. So I can do the one to your left I go and say I am. Thank you.
Oh,
I was like,
absolutely.
oh my God,
Of
oh my
course,
God.
it was all scripted. I mean, they speak about how they were absolute best mates, don't they? And so they were recreating that moment in South Africa with Tom Bradby, which we will never forget, will we? But I should also point out, by the way, that perhaps for once, actually, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, may have played a bit of a masterstroke here. Because, you know, Meghan released this interview when she did to try and overshadow the 14th anniversary celebrations for Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Prince William, who are in the Isle of Mull today. But Catherine, and I know some people are saying, oh, you're getting a little bit excited about this. But look, she's gone. I'm not going to say she's gone blonde. She's gone blondish. And I think Catherine will, thank God, push her dastardly sister-in-law off the front pages today, at least. But anyway, of course, this whole interview is set up to show us just how hard life is for our damsel in distress, Meghan Markle. Samantha Markle, is that hard for you to watch, this attempt to rehabilitate Meghan Markle's reputation, given what she has done to your family and specifically your father?
See, I mean, she's again wanting to get out her truth. And she says, I'm glad you get it. People can see now. Well, she forgets that the world watched. The world watched as she mocked Queen Elizabeth while she was dying of bone cancer. The world watched her totally ice and disregard, our family, our dad through 2 heart attacks and a stroke. The world has watched this. So what does she mean? Now you get it. Yeah, we got it because we all watched. So you can't suddenly act like all of that didn't happen, all of that didn't exist. Like, who's she trying to kid? Maybe the few new viewers who didn't have the backstory and who haven't been watching all of these years. Oh yeah, we get it. We've watched you.
We've literally seen it with our own eyes. Of course, and Angela,
yeah,
yet again, another interview that we sit through without any reference to the whole pile of bullying allegations on both sides of the Atlantic. Let's just pretend that it never happened.
This is disgusting. Meghan actually compares royal life to being in the trenches, a reference to World War I, where soldiers were mutilated, drowned in mud, starved, and shelled for months. Dan Wooten says it best. How dare she compare luxury flights, lavish castles, and butlers to one of the most horrifying war experiences in human history? It's not just tone-deaf, it's deeply offensive. How dare she minimize what real veterans and working-class Brits have gone through, just because palace staff didn't bend over fast enough for her jam jars and documentaries?
Yeah. I mean, she pretends everything about herself. That's why she goes into her room, her home, and you don't hear a word for about a week or so. And then all of a sudden, she's got another idea of what's happening. And she never goes back and says, look, I'm really sorry that these people I know have been behaving badly. Never. She's always absolutely perfect. And she does think she's out of this world. More interesting, more cleverer, more beautiful than anybody else. And actually, you feel you want to throw some ice cold water over her.
Well, of course, because the ego is out of control. But Angela, the other issue is that there are so many lies in this interview, so many inconsistencies. And for folk who ask, well, why are we doing this? For me, it's because we have to prove that what the mainstream media is doing by just peddling her lies is irresponsible, because it's so easy to call them out. And one of the most obvious and the most egregious, which we now see, is that she is still keeping up this pretense that she doesn't read any of the coverage about her. Watch.
Often do you see stories, whether they're in magazines or online?
I just have created such a strong boundary for myself. And even we were like, no, but it's a good one. It's like, there was this quote that I had up in my trailer when I was on Suits, talk about being a soothsayer or if it's divinely ordered. How on earth would this be the quote that I had printed up in my trailer? And I was on that show for almost 7 years. And it says, I've already settled it for myself, so flattery and criticism go down the same drain, and I'm quite free. And it's a very hard thing to put into action to actually integrate.
Yeah.
But it's become so ingrained in my mind because it was there before it actually applied to me on a level like this. I've really tried to distance myself from all of it. And that has challenges too. It does. You know, I'm oblivious to a lot of things, but that allows me to live my life really authentically, make choices authentically. But it also allows me to be really detached from the outcome. I can just show up. I can put good work out there. I feel confident with what we've created and then let it go. So to answer your question, maybe 1% of what's in the world I would see, and only if it's brought to me and said, like, you should really read this. You will learn something from it. Or this is really good insight.
Now, of course, that is completely rubbish. That is completely untrue, because what we have seen now for a number of months is Meghan's social media is totally dictated by what she wants to counteract, either in the online media on shows like this, or if there is criticism in the mainstream media. But then we get to the best acting job in the entire interview. But I could see right through it, and I'm sure you'll be able to see right through it. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, we covered it on the show, Prince Harry did a cover story with People magazine. And there was a quote about Meghan, which was like one of those hostage video quotes. I'm so proud of my wife. You knew he had to say it. You knew he hadn't written it and had been cooked up by the PR team, clearly with Meghan's say-so. Watch in this interview where Jamie Kern-Lima presents the quote to Meghan, and she pretends that she knows nothing about it.
Here comes the hypocrisy parade. Meghan insists she doesn't read anything about herself. Not headlines. Not articles. Nothing. She's detached. Yeah, right. If she's so disconnected, why are her PR stunts so precisely timed to distract from royal events? Why is she constantly reacting to criticism, releasing podcasts, kid voiceovers, or curated interviews right after public backlash? Meghan's not detached. She's obsessed with public perception, and this whole Zen Queen act is another fake layer in her PR strategy.
Your husband just shared publicly for the first time. He said, I'm so happy for my wife and fully support absolutely everything she's done and continues to do.
When did he say that?
This week. It's everywhere in the press. Yeah, it's beautiful. But how does so? Okay, so you don't know this. Okay, so you're hearing you're hearing this for the first time.
She
That's
knew
sweet.
it. No, she's not.
I love that you're hearing this for the first time. He says, "I'm so happy for my wife and fully supportive, and support absolutely everything she's done and continues to do." How does that make you feel?
Oh, he's such a great partner. I feel that, right? I feel that every day in how supportive he's been and is. But I didn't know he said that. So that's really nice, because I think having a partner, I mean, I asked you this when you were on my podcast, like, do you think that you would have been able to get through all the no's and the challenges if you were doing it solo, if you didn't have the support of Paolo? And there's something that is not to be taken for granted when you have a partner and a spouse who is just so behind you. You know, I mean, that man loves me so much. And, you know, look what we've built. We've built a beautiful life, and we have 2 healthy, beautiful children. And, you know, and I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers, when you get to the final level. And what's the goal in Super Mario? They're like, slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband. He's just out there, just constant. Like, he's just going to do whatever he can to make sure that our family is safe and protected and we're uplifted, and still make time for date nights.
Angela, have you ever seen a more obvious lie in your life?
Nope, I haven't. But let me go back one step where she says that she doesn't hold on to things. She lets them pass her
Yes.
by. She's fine with that. But, in the last 6 years since they've left the royal family, she can't get over what happened. She's full of resentment. And so many of the things that she does is because she wasn't treated in the royal family in the way that she wanted. So it's completely and utterly nonsense. She hangs on to everything. If she feels against you, like she is with Catherine, she will, go on and on and on and on until she wins. I hope she doesn't, because they've got a different way of behaving. But actually, to say she doesn't hold on to things, they just flitter away, she's the
It's
last
laughable.
person
It's
to do
completely
that.
laughable, because what she does actually is maintain campaigns that can last for years. And you're completely right to point out, Catherine, look at what the Sussex squad tried to do with her. Samantha, what about this idea of trying to paint Harry as the slay the dragon hero?
Yeah, exactly. First of all, she's not a princess from what I've been hearing. She hasn't been given that title. Second of all, I think and this is my opinion, it's really bizarre and sort of a deviation from reality, in my opinion, that she would say we built such a beautiful life. I think what is clear from inception is that it's no secret there was, a string of lies. Meghan Kelly clocked her at reportedly lying every 2 minutes. There is a beautiful life built on lies. First of all, about how she was raised. She wasn't raised a poor child. She is not
Yes.
Cinderella.
And there's a repeat in this
Secondly,
interview, by the way, Sam, because I wanted to ask you about this. This is a good time to
yeah,
do so. She doubles
right.
down on this whole concept of being a latchkey kid eating TV dinners in this interview.
Beautiful, or built on fabrication. Samantha Markle calls it out. Meghan's self-made story was fiction from day one. The embassy internship? Paid for by her father. The TV dinner latchkey childhood? Debunked. Her family says she was spoiled, privileged, and treated like royalty before she met royalty. She claims to be a struggling actress who clawed her way up. But the truth? It's a well-oiled fantasy.
Exactly. Latchkey kids eat TV dinners. They're left alone all day with working parents or parents who are not invested and not there. And so, with that said, I don't think hanging out with dad at the TV studios on the set of Married with Children and being with dad and going wherever she wanted and going shopping, on a whim, doing whatever she wanted, totally being indulged. That's not the definition of a latchkey kid. But I think what's also important is this, quote, beautiful life that she is spewing that they've built, in my opinion, based on lies. And how would Harry feel about that? He's proud of everything she does. Is he proud of the lying? She never worked for the embassy. That was a lie. She did a 5-week study program that dad paid for. So I'm assuming that when she met Harry, she, beefed herself up. She gave him the pitch of a lifetime, probably, and said that she worked for the embassy, that she was self-made, that she got grants and scholarships, none of which is true. So in retrospect, how would Harry feel about that beautiful life based on lies? I just think these little PR attempts and having Jamie or whoever she knows will step up to the plate and suck up and try and rewrite history. I think that's a leftist thing. Rewrite
Totally.
history as if all of the new people watching will never know.
Totally.
And the
As if
others,
we're stupid.
hopefully, in her mind, have forgotten.
As if we're totally stupid. Now I want to come to, though, the worst moment of this entire interview. And I'm sure you're both with me on this, but I am so offended. I'm so disgusted as someone whose grandparents and great-grandparents served in World War One in the trenches. And Meghan Markle, not only is she making a dig at the royal family of Britain, she is completely degrading the military history of veteran families in the United Kingdom by comparing her time in the royal family to being in the trenches.
Are you in love now more than ever, more than you've ever been?
Yeah, I mean, you have to imagine at the beginning, everyone has like butterflies and then we immediately went into the trenches together.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, like 6 months into dating. So now 7 years later, when you have a little bit of breathing space, you can just enjoy each other in a new way. And that's why I feel like it's more of a honeymoon period for us now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be married forever?
Yes.
I have a letter.
He's also a fox. If you haven't noticed, my husband's very, very handsome, but his heart is even more beautiful.
Okay, Angela, there's actually two things I need to pick up on there. So, of course, as I expressed, I am disgusted by her using that phrase in the trenches. What I found very interesting, though, is did you notice when she is asked by her BFF, will you be married forever? Her voice goes up an octave. It's very, very obvious that she is not answering authentically.
Yeah. It was a squeaky sort of answer, wasn't it? Yes, as if, don't bother me with that one. It's quite obvious, but it's obviously not going to necessarily happen. She gave in to her friend, which was interesting, because she could have looked at her with one of her nasty sneers, but she managed to smile hugely instead. But, she's decided to look so vulnerable and such a poor woman, who works so hard, that it's changed her enormously, looking 10 years older because she hasn't got lipstick on and makeup. I'm saying this again because when you look at her, you see somebody who's really creased and completely and utterly worn out. So she's just pretending the whole thing is very difficult, and it's just because she tries so hard and it's so difficult to do everything that she wants to do. That actually makes this such a nonsense. And now she's crying. If you look, she decided after she got, before she got married, she got engaged, she would not eat her nails anymore. Right? And she got some short nails. But now, if you look at them, she's chewing at her nails. And that's always a sign of being very worried and unhappy. So if you look at her fingers, you can see she's really, which I think is probably goes with the personality.
And now Harry's stuck in it. At what point does Harry wake up and realize his marriage might be one big PR pitch he bought into? This isn't the first time Meghan's pulled out the left eye cry. She even bragged once that she could cry on cue from that eye. And guess what? SPAC. Angela Levin calls it out, strategic vulnerability. No makeup. No lipstick. Crying softly. It's all part of the poor little me playbook she's used since the Tom Bradby interview in South Africa. She's recreating the same emotional beat, but this time with a softer light and a better camera.
Totally. Sam Markle. Are there times when you see your sister say things like trying to compare living in the most privileged family in the world to being in the trenches, which was, anyone who knows anything about World War I knows that it was the most inhumane way to live. And these young men gave their lives fighting for their country in the most revolting conditions. Do you sometimes feel ashamed of her?
Well, exactly. And by contrast, it seems as though every time she moves forward, she has this need to insult at a minimum the last situation she was in. For example, saying that she was a latchkey kid, insulting, dad's 40 years, blood, sweat, and tears, working in television, winning Emmy Awards, giving her everything, indulging her. Trevor Ingleson saying he felt like gum on a shoe, him giving her everything. King Charles said he felt like an ATM. So this life of private jets, royal treatment, suddenly is minimized to the trenches. We were in the trenches together. I don't think anybody with a functioning frontal lobe would suggest that private jets, having people wait on you, being allowed to bully your staff, allegedly, and using King Charles, then Prince Charles, as an ATM. Oh, that's so hard. Oh God, get me out of these trenches. And juxtapose that with, of course, a life of military service, our veterans, those who have died and sacrificed everything for the defense of a country. I think she's very contextually unaware, in my opinion. That seems to be a huge disconnect. So she's not aware of whose feelings she's hurting. She doesn't seem to care, and she seems so focused on pointing out how hard her life was and how rejuvenated she is. This is like their freedom flight.
Totally. It's like everything's great now. Everything's great now. As if we don't have eyes. As if we don't see Prince Harry's face at the Time 100 event when he is reduced to her bag carrier and is losing the will to live. It's like we see that with our own eyes. That's why there's this massive PR campaign. Now, this interview was grim and weird. And I think probably the most bizarre moment was when it almost turned into some type of crappy reality show where Jamie Kern-Lima produces a letter from Harry and the children, which isn't a particularly emotional or heartfelt letter, but they're trying to turn it into a real moment. Let's just say it falls flat on its face. Watch.
Your eyes are sparkling right now.
Oh.
You
have a letter from him?
I have a letter from your husband and your kids.
Oh.
It's actually from them.
Was this in the press also?
Via him.
Did this?
Nope, no one's ever seen this before.
Okay.
And I would love to share it with you. And if you feel comfortable.
Is this from this morning?
Share it with all of us.
Oh. From Archie and Lily via Papa. We love your cooking. We love your pancakes. And we love, love, love your hugs. You're the best mummy and we love you. So sweet. I also love that it's mummy, which is very British instead of mommy.
British.
Oh, yeah, they're the greatest.
And we, so it's kind of fun reading that to you about just how much he supports you and how proud he is with everything he's doing with Invictus Games and all the projects he's so passionate about. What are the best ways that you support him that he needs with all of those?
I think a lot of it is being a soundboard, especially because I don't read media or press.
Yeah.
I'm a good barometer of just...
Oh, you do, Megsy.
Sometimes maybe just a very removed point of view because I'm only looking at it through the lens of loving him.
Yeah.
What's in his best and highest good? What's in the best interest for us as a family? What will help nurture him and help him find balance?
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, I can hear it through a different lens because my opinion isn't colored by anything other than what I know from him and what I can see for our future. So, I really love making him breakfast. Before I left, I told you Archie's homesick today. So I made him lemon, ginger, manuka honey tea, and he just really wanted bacon. So I made a lot of bacon, and then I made a breakfast sandwich with a fried egg and
please.
2 slices of American cheese.
Let's be honest. That quote was a hostage note. Harry didn't write it. Meghan did. She even pretends to be surprised when Jamie reads it aloud. Oh, I hadn't heard that. Yeah, right. Dan and Angela say it best. Harry's role in this brand is to nod, smile, and serve as Meghan's emotional prop. He's gone from prince to puppet. From hero to handler. She's not his princess. He's his boss. And if the public sees it, you can bet Harry does too.
Stop. But what was so interesting is that Jamie Kern-Lima clearly didn't get the response she wanted. She knew she needed the tears. The tears were the only way to promote the interview. So then it comes in the most random way when Meghan is telling a story about how she apparently sends emails every night to her 2 children on an account they obviously do not have access to as yet. That causes mass hysteria and emotion. I mean, so talk about me, Meghan. She's not crying about her children. She's crying about the fact that she wants her children to know how much she loves her. Is that right?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, children watch you all the way through their lives. Much to your surprise, they bring it out when they're teenagers to tell you off or to say how well you've done. And they see how you are. They don't need a letter from their mother telling them that she worked very hard and she loved them, because she'll get quite a sound back. I mean, that is totally and utterly ridiculous. They're not robots. I mean, they can feel what the parent feels about them. The fact that her parents go away such a lot might really upset them. The fact that they've never met the rest of their family, like on their father's side, they might be furious. They might be furious that they've given her a title and they don't know what to do. I mean, they will make up their own mind what they don't like and what they do like. They don't need a letter from their mother when they're 16 or 18. They won't be interested at all. They're teenagers. They're off doing things. They don't want to sort of sit there and say how wonderful she is all the time.
Very true. Then there is a moment where Jamie Kern-Lima, because she clearly has her list. I've clearly spoken about all the things that they need to get into the interview to try and present Meghan in the best light. And this was actually behind the trenches comment. This was what I found the most distasteful part of the interview. It's when she is comparing Meghan to Princess Diana.
Yes.
And Meghan sits there, sort of, did you notice this? Trying to be like Princess Diana. Okay, so Samantha, you obviously know the real Meghan. You've known her since she was a young age. Is she correct in saying that the media portrayal of her does not match what she's really like in real life?
See, again, let's cut to the chase. It's not just the media portrayal and what we've read and the PR articles on either side of the fence. We have observed, we watched her live mocking Queen Elizabeth as she was dying of bone cancer. Harry sat there and, was bright red and just enabled it. So this takes me back to what she said about wanting him to live his best life. If you want your husband to live his best life, you don't sit there with him and mock his dying grandmother with him red in the face, knowing that will have deleterious consequences for him in his family and in front of the world. And I think the same is true of the kids. If she wants these alleged kids to live their best lives and she wants them to know how much she loves them, so she sends these quote emails. Well, we all know she's really hot on doing her fancy cursive and penmanship with fountain pens. So why wouldn't she handwrite them letters so that they can live their best life and feel, wow, mom wrote me this personal letter. Like, this means a lot, not, oh, mom took 2 seconds to send me a cheesy email.
Yeah,
I just think she's missing the point.
She's always missing the point, isn't she? Sam, there was also, and I've got to put this to you too, there's also a moment where she claims that she has not been a Markle since her wedding, even though that was something she only chose to reveal on Netflix very recently. Watch.
Meghan Sussex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Now I heard there are Sussex chickens, and I need to get a couple of Sussex chickens to add to my flock. I'm so excited. Got my girls. Yeah.
And so do you use Markle anymore?
No, not since I got married.
Not since you got married.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Good to know. This is what everyone wants to know.
This interview isn't empowering, it's embarrassing. Meghan Markle wanted to rebrand as a strong woman, loving wife, and victim of royal cruelty. But all she's done is remind the world why people stopped trusting her in the first place. The tears are fake. The love story is fading. And the audience? We're not buying it anymore.
I think even my grandmother from the grave would roll over. I mean, what's so funny is that, people can use any name they want. She's got a brand, but it doesn't seem like she gave up Markle as her brand. She just doesn't want it as her family name. And yet, when we talk about family name, what happened to Mountbatten Windsor? Because Sussex, from my understanding, is a township. It's not a title or her name. So all of a sudden, when she said she wanted to have the same name as her kids, her children or alleged children were not born Sussex. The family name is Mountbatten.
Indeed.
Windsor.
And again, it's the rewriting of history, though. It's like, you really think that you've kept this secret for all of these years. It's totally ludicrous. Now, Angela, there's a key moment for royal observers like us in this next moment, because so earlier I was saying she's not being totally honest when she says that she believes that she's going to stay with Prince Harry forever. We know that because, of course, she has been secretly shopping this post-divorce book for some time. It's something we had spoken about for a very long while, but it went mainstream when it featured in Vanity Fair and that big profile on the couple. And what's very interesting is that she is asked by Jamie Kern-Lima whether she is going to write another book, and she specifically raises the prospect of a memoir. So she's basically confirming the story, Angela. A lot more life to live, a divorce to live, then she'll write it and she'll get the big money, right?
Yeah, that's it. But I think she'll be careful about it, actually, because she will lose her anything that's nice and kind, because she'll be so horrible about the royal family, and it will be so full of lies that people actually won't want to read it, won't believe a word she says. I think that's happening. She's much better to stick with her cooking, but she won't want to do that. I don't think she'll do another child's book, because that was a disaster, and she had to buy hundreds of them so it would look as if it was a great success. But I think she's just keeping the option. She likes to keep the option open, dangling before us all, making us wait to see what's on the next front page, making us wait till we see one of her children's faces. And it just is just that way she can keep on the front pages. And I think that's, so she's just saying it. But I don't think Harry will have long gone by that happens. But I'm some concerned that she's recorded stuff and she'll use that. And actually, that would be very difficult for the royal family. But I hope people just don't believe it, and that will be the end of it.
So what do you think? Is Meghan Markle unhappy in her marriage? Is Harry trapped? Are the tears real, or just another left eye stunt? Hit like if you're done with the drama. Subscribe for more brutal royal truth and comment below. What's your verdict on this fake fairy tale?